and welcome to Beyond the News. I'm your host, MINA SOHAIL. A look at our top stories first. Army to support all state institutions for peace and stability, says Chief of Army Staff. Turkey primed to start offensive against US-backed Kurds in Syria. European Union says no to Theresa May on renegotiating deal. PCB granted rights to host the Asia Cup in 2020. But first, a look at our top story for tonight. The 216th Corps Commanders Conference was held yesterday at the GHQ in Rawalpindi. The conference was presided by the Army Chief General Qamar Javed Bajwa. Pakistan Army pledged to safeguard the country against all external threats while consolidating gains of counter-terrorism military operations, which have contributed positively towards overall socio-economic development of the country. Now, this time around, the commanders at the conference focused on regional security and the situation on the eastern and western borders, including the line of control. This was done so while reviewing the geostrategic environment. Additionally, the meeting took note of the internal security situation and the ongoing security operations. According to the statement released by the ISPR, the forum highlighted importance of regional approach to eliminate the roots of terrorism. It hoped for success of the ongoing Afghan reconciliation process while supporting all stakeholders to bring the Afghan war to a peaceful, logical conclusion. Now, we have our guest, Lieutenant General retired Talat Masood, who joins us. Thank you for joining us, sir. Now, Mr. Masood, the Corps Commanders Conference put a special emphasis on regional approach for the Afghanistan peace solution. What does this regional approach entail exactly?
Well, I think regional approach means that, all the regional countries must cooperate in the peace efforts towards Afghanistan and should not pursue policies which countervail or contradict peace in Afghanistan. For instance, if India was to cooperate and not use the Afghan territory, then I think it would, against Pakistan, then I think it would be very helpful. At the same time, I think all countries must contribute towards the economy, towards trying to bring about political stability in Afghanistan, and not support any groups which, run counter to the policy of of not meddling in Afghanistan. Because if foreign powers start meddling into Afghan's internal politics, that also is very destabilizing. So there are two factors. One is don't use their soil against another country, like for instance, India should not use it against Pakistan. And Pakistan is not, has been saying all along and is abiding by that it doesn't want its own territory to be used against any other country. So that is one aspect. The other aspect is that if all countries cooperate towards the peace in Afghanistan, then it's much easier rather than support any groups or any party to the conflict. Because as Pakistan has always reiterated, Pakistan's position has been that it is for the people of Afghanistan, the government of Afghanistan, to decide as to what exactly they want.
Right. Now, sir, since there is no military solution for Afghanistan, it seems, how can Pakistan approach these issues in more depth on the diplomatic front? What active measures are required in your opinion?
Well, I think firstly, Pakistan's insistence that, Afghanistan requires a political solution. So at the diplomatic level, it has been pursuing with the United States and also cooperating with China and other countries, Russia, so that a political solution is brought about. Now, in terms of political solution, Pakistan is also pressing the Taliban leadership to an extent that it has influence over them, but that influence is also limited. But at the same time, whatever influence it has, it is trying to assert on them and to try to see to it that, they move towards a political engagement and at the same time emphasize on the Afghan government and the Americans that the only answer lies in a political solution in Afghanistan. So I hope, and it is also facilitating, as you are aware, that very recently the Afghan leadership, the Taliban leadership met with the American representative in Pakistan. So it also goes to show that it's not only that Pakistan is making statements, it is also trying to facilitate as much as it can towards the peace process.
Right. Now, General Masood, when it comes to relations with the United States, would you say that security and the political establishment are on the same page when it comes to amending relations with the United States?
Well, I think so. I think there is no difference because, I mean, the political leadership as well as the military leadership want peace in Afghanistan, and I think there has never been any difference on that score. That is different that who leads the policy. That has been an issue, but that is no more an issue in the sense that there is so much of convergence as far as Afghanistan is concerned, because both the political leadership and the military leadership are both, converging as far as, peace in Afghanistan is concerned, and they know that the only answer lies in political dialogue. And it is for the leadership in Afghanistan and also on the Taliban leadership to sort of see to it that a political solution is found. And then the Americans to realize that there is no military solution. And I think they have already, to a large extent, realized that. Because after 17 years, they have not made much progress.
Right.
Nearly 50% of the area of Afghanistan is not under their control.
Right. Sir, now U.S. Representative Zalmay Khalilzad is the go-to person dealing with the U.S. regional security affairs. How has this relationship been like with Pakistan?
Well, I think he has been somewhat very pro-Indian in the past, and also somewhat making statements which are not very helpful in building Pakistan-U.S. relations. And he was always considered to be somewhat hostile towards Pakistan. But I think he has now realized that this is not the way and it doesn't help. So, and
Right.
Pakistan has also been very accommodative and flexible as far as the ambassador is concerned. I mean, Khalilzad, and they have cooperated with him fully and have considered him to be a representative of the U.S. and they realize that he's now, acting on their behalf, and they are focusing more on the problem rather than on the personality.
Right, right. Now, General Masood, my last question to you. Now, do you feel that for the Afghan president, launching and owning a peace process seems to be the last achievement that he can hold on to before the re-election next year?
Oh, yes, he's desperate, and that is why, as you know, he is very keen that peace should come, as soon as possible and probably before the elections. So he is striving very hard for that. And so that would be a great sort of credit will go to him for bringing peace. So I think he's striving for that.
For that political survival?
Well, I think he's striving hard in order to sort of see to it that some sort of an agreement takes place. But it would all depend as to what the Taliban have to say, because the Taliban's condition has been that there has to be a commitment on the part of the Americans that they would be vacating Afghanistan, they would be leaving Afghanistan. To what extent the Americans are willing to give an undertaking has to be seen over the next few months.
Right, right. Thank you so much for joining us on the show, sir, and giving your viewpoint to us, General Talat Masood. We're going to take a quick break here. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the show. Now, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has hinted that Turkey will soon launch a military operation against the United States-backed Kurdish forces in northern Syria within days. This is a big decision that could signal a shift in existing Turkish-US relations and might even have far-reaching consequences for Syria's future. Turkey views these foreign-backed Kurdish forces as terrorists, and there's a long historical enmity between the two sides as well. The difference now is that President Erdogan has threatened to push deeper into northeastern Syria since sending Turkish forces into the Kurdish enclave of Afrin in February. President Erdogan has also expressed disappointment that the US-backed Kurdish fighters in Syria had not left the town of Manjib as agreed in a US-Turkish deal brokered this year. The United States has now called on Turkey to not follow through on threats to attack US-backed forces in Syria. The Department of Defense sitting in Pentagon even warned that such an offensive might threaten the US personnel in Syria and eventually derail the fight against ISIS. On the other hand, the commander-in-chief of the Syrian Democratic Forces, which is backed by the US, even released a statement vowing to respond strongly to any Turkish attack in North Syria. But the forces are also saying that the sides must push towards a diplomatic solution as well. Turkish Defense Ministry confirmed yesterday that a Turkish soldier was killed in northern Syrian region of Afrin after coming under fire from a Kurdish militia. Now, to talk more about this, we have with us Mr. Mustafa Birol, a journalist based in Istanbul. Thank you for joining us, Mustafa. Now, has the Turkish government confirmed that they are set to start a new offensive against Kurdish forces in Syria?
Mina, first of all, thank you very much for having me in such a critical subject. Like most of the journalists, I started following the updates about the possible Turkish military cross-border operation in northern Syria after President Erdogan's harsh speech in Turkish Defense Industry Summit in Ankara. He said Turkey will start the operation to clear the east of Euphrates from the separatist terrorists in a few days. And after President Erdogan's speech, many ministers and other top bureaucrats and speaker of the ruling party, everybody confirmed, and the military officials also confirmed these developments. And there is going to be a cross-border operation to northern Syria in a couple of days.
Right, right. Now, Mustafa, considering that the United States has warned Turkey of taking any action, will President Erdogan now take a clear stand on this matter?
Well, I think Turkey's stance is already clear. As the people who are watching monitoring the developments in the region, we see that Turkey conducted two very successful cross-border operations in the region. The first one was the Euphrates Shield, and the other one was the Olive Branch, and they were all very serious and very successful operations. And I don't think that Erdogan is going to come saying that I was just joking. We are not going to conduct an operation. Then finally, this is a result, you know. And the Turkish National Defense Minister and the former Chief of the Staff, Hulusi Akar, 2 days ago, he also underlined that it is not possible for us to sit back and watch the formation of a terrorist corridor in northern Syria. This is how Turkey considers the Kurdish formations in the area.
Right, right.
Seems like Turkey has no other option right now.
Right. Now, Mustafa, is this new offensive really about eliminating terrorists when Turkey is not even going to target ISIS militants, but those who are fighting the ISIS themselves?
Okay, well, yeah, if you consider the terrorist PKK and its Syrian branch, the YPG, as the freedom fighters, then the answer can change. But I want to reverse the question into a U.S.-Kurdish equation.
Right.
So, where is the ISIS? So there is no ISIS units in the northern Syria right now. But Americans built more than 30 bases in the region. You know. So the ISIS is, when we look at the Syrian map, we can clearly see that ISIS is mostly based in the southern part of the country. But also as a journalist, I remember that I covered many stories that the coalition forces hit more than one time the Syria and allies fighting against ISIS. So
right.
I remember that it happened also in Al Mayadin and Deir ez-Zor. I conducted an interview with Bassam Abu Abdullah, who is the Undersecretary of the Syrian Ministry of Information, and he also gave me the information that most of the ISIS militias are cutting their beards and they are joining the ranks of the YPG, and also the Russian Chief of the Staff Gerasimov, in a couple of months ago, he underlined the same thing. The United States is trying to form some sort of a new national army for Syria, combining the ISS and PKK forces and other tribal forces. So Turkey is currently conducting a military operation against an internationally recognized terrorist organization, which is the PKK.
Right.
And Turkey's justifications comes from this reason.
Right. Now talking about justification, Mustafa, when does Turkey give it when Syrian Kurds say that Turkey's move will harm the battle against ISIS? What is Turkey's justification to the world to start this mission then?
Okay, please let me tell you again. Turkey's main justification is Turkey is just waging a war against an internationally recognized terrorist organization. So
right.
Being an ally of the United States, I'm talking about the YPG, the Kurdish militia, being an ally of the United States does not clear their crime records, Finally, we are talking about the PKK. PKK is not only active in operating the terrorist organizations in Turkey, but also operating a wide network of narcotics and organizing human trafficking activities and this sort of stuff. So there are, by the way, I need to underline another important thing.
Sure.
There are several Kurdish factions in the region, as we all know. For example, the KDP of the Barzani or the Patriotic Union of Kurdistan of Talabani, and also the PKK, which is a military force, also has a political force, which is ruled by the leader Abdullah Öcalan. And the YPG, they openly admit that they are also following the path of Öcalan, who is being kept by Turkish authorities in a prison in an island in the Marmaris. So it is very, 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 very clear. So, by the way, when it comes to fighting against terrorism, in my opinion, fighting against ISIS gained a strong momentum especially after Russia came to the region and set an alliance with Syria and Iran, and they fought against the ISIS offshoots inside the country. Also, we see another important development was the Astana process. Turkey, Iran, and Russia came together, and they significant work in the area. But when we look at the coalition forces, in my opinion, I can exemplify this actually. The coalition forces fight against ISIS is not satisfying, even somehow
right.
Suspicious.
Right.
This is what I think. This is what I cover as a journalist.
Now.
And
right, Mustafa, just coming a bit towards the Russian and Turkey deal, what will be the fate of the Russia-Turkey deal for North Syrian ceasefire? Will a new offensive not create more trouble for the region?
It will not create more trouble for the region for sure. Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Zakharova said in a press conference yesterday that they are in contact with their Turkish counterparts in every issue about Syria, including anti-terror operations. This is very important. I need to underline.
Right.
We are supporting Turkey. They are not saying that they are supporting Turkey, but in the end, it is something like this. And as I said, Russian Chief of the Staff Gerasimov several times underlined that they will not allow any terrorist force to get established. To occupy a zone in northern Syria. So Russian stance in northern Syria has changed pretty much significantly in the last couple of months. Probably they understood that they can't receive any benefits from an alliance or
right.
open or closed covert alliance with the terrorists. Then it became like this. So if we have some more time, 1 or 2 minutes, I'd like to give some more detail about the operation.
Thank you for talking to us, Mustafa, from Istanbul. Here's taking a quick break. Welcome back to Beyond the News. Now, UK Prime Minister Theresa May appealed directly to the EU leaders to help her save the Brexit withdrawal agreement. She insisted that it is the only deal that can win a majority in Parliament, but offered no clear path for securing it. Addressing her fellow heads of government at the European Council summit, Theresa May repeated her call for fresh assurance on the controversial Northern Ireland backstop plan, which is the key component of the Brexit deal. Now, this is designed to avoid the need for a hard border in Ireland. Despite these calls, European Union leaders have said that the Brexit withdrawal agreement is not open for renegotiation. The same statement was repeated by the European Commission President Jean-Claude, who said that there could be clarifications but no renegotiation. European Council President Donald Tusk said in a firm and clear stance that the withdrawal agreement was not open for renegotiation as well. Now, Mr. Tusk also explained that the Northern Ireland backstop is just an insurance policy, but the European Union is resolute in working speedily on the matter and carrying out alternative arrangements. On the other hand, Austrian Chancellor, who holds the rotating EU presidency, suggested there could be a special Brexit summit in January to agree to additional assurances. Now, the signs are not looking good for Prime Minister Theresa May's government, despite the fact that she recently survived the no-confidence vote triggered by her own Conservative MPs. Prime Minister Theresa May's office has confirmed that the MPs will vote on the Brexit deal before Christmas, but many analysts believe that the vote is destined to fail, considering that many Conservatives and the combined bunch of opposition, including Labour Party, have long opposed this version of the agreement. On that note, we take a quick break here. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now, cricket fans in Pakistan should rejoice since the Asia Cricket Council has given Pakistan Cricket Board the rights to host the 2020 Asia Cup. But still, PCB needs to clarify whether this cup will be hosted in Pakistan or the United Arab Emirates, which has been deemed as the unofficial home for Pakistan since 2010. The tournament is scheduled for September 2020 and will be played in the T20 format. It is set to precede the T20 ICC World Cup. If the situation in Pakistan or Pakistan's relationship with India does not improve between now and then, it would seem logical for the tournament to be held in the UAE. Moving on to the world of hockey now, Pakistan's dismal performance in the Hockey World Cup not only disappointed its fans, but it has raised some serious eyebrows for key officials of the Pakistan's Hockey Federation. It has been reported that many former Olympians want a regime change at the Pakistan Hockey Federation, but the federation is cautiously trying to play this game out. The Pakistan Hockey Federation has now decided to form a commission led by Olympian Rashid Jr., whereas Mansoorul Hassan, Shahid Ali Khan and Majid Bashir will assist him. The committee will complete its report in 15 days and as expected, most of the blame will be put on the players and coaching itself, and not the structural problems that have long plagued the growth of this prestigious sport in the country. Now, for the football fans of Pakistan, there are some renewed hopes of new beginnings as Pakistan Football Federation has finally elected a new president, Syed Ashfaq Hussain, who has vowed to raise Pakistan football from ashes and take it to new heights. Serious reforms are needed to uplift this universal sport because out of 213 countries listed in the FIFA rankings, Pakistan ranks 204. Now, be it cricket, football or hockey, we have with us our expert and senior journalist, sports commentator Mirza Iqbal Beg with us. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Beg, PCB has been granted the 2020 Asia Cup rights. Now, what about India's role in it?
It's a heartening sign for the cricket lovers in Pakistan. They were quite happy that Pakistan has been granted the hosting of 2020 Asia Cup cricket tournament because this tournament was held in UAE, where India was the host, because Pakistan refused to play Asia Cup matches in India. And on that basis, now although Pakistan has been granted the rights, India has said that we won't be playing in Pakistan in 2020. 2 years, it's a lot of time, but in 2020, let's see what happens in India. As far as the Modi government is concerned, they don't want to play Pakistan. But if Congress wins, as Congress has won many provinces of India, in many provinces, if Congress wins the election, then chances are quite bright that India might come to Pakistan.
So then this really is a political decision at the end of the day.
It looks like, always in cricketing terms, you can say that in cricket, whenever Pakistan and India are against each other, then there is always politics interfere in that, and Indian government doesn't want, although Pakistan government had given the permission to for Pakistan Cricket Board to host India, but it looks that the political interference might affect
this. Might come into play, right. And you mentioned that Pakistan had refused to play in India. What was the reason for that at the time?
At that time, the main reason was this, that India didn't fulfill the commitment which they made that we'll be playing 6 series in 8 years, and then they backed it out. So Pakistan was quite furious regarding that, because Pakistan supported them in the big three when Nazam Sethi was the chairman, and there were some 3 big nations, India, England and Australia. They were together, and there was a concept introduced in cricket as a big 3. Pakistan supported them on this basis, on this condition that India will play Pakistan, but at the 11th hour they backed out.
Right. Now, do you feel when the time really comes, Dubai is often considered our second home, just for matches with India, is there a chance that those matches might be placed in Dubai?
Might be. Chances are quite bright. It's a quite logical questions from you, because the chances are quite bright that India will be actually agreed to play in Dubai, because in this Asia Cup, which was held in September, India played against Pakistan 2 matches in Dubai, and India won both the matches.
Right, right. Now, Mr. Beg, coming to hockey, Pakistan had a dismal performance in the Hockey World Cup. What are your thoughts on that?
Actually, Mina, if you look back at Pakistan hockey, since 1994 we haven't won any Hockey World Cup. Although we have won 4 Hockey World Cup in 71, 78, 82 and 94. And since 1994, 24 years have gone, we haven't won the World Cup. And we haven't won the Olympic Games since 1984, 34 years have gone. So it means that Pakistan hockey is going to be deteriorated. After the revolt against the coach and the manager of the team in 1996, before the Atlanta Olympics, Pakistan hockey has come to a decline. And the rest is done by the officials of Pakistan Hockey Federation, who don't care that Pakistan hockey should go up. They care for the grant from the government, right, so that they can go on the joy trips on the government expenses. So they are thinking on that line. They are not improving the infrastructure of hockey in Pakistan.
But then what can really bring a reform in the Hockey Federation? The
reforms are there on the card. You know, after the dismal performance of Pakistan hockey team, PHF President Khalid Sajjad Khokar formed a 4-member committee led by former hockey Olympian Rashid Jr. to look into the matter, and it is all that he wants to get rid of Secretary Shehbaz Senior. Right. So it means that the president wants to remain at his own seat, and he wants to get, he is going to make the scapegoat Mr. Shehbaz Senior. So this politics is ruining Pakistan hockey, and the time has come that both the officials should go to their home. They should appoint, because the Prime Minister of Pakistan is a sportsman. He loves hockey, and he is also the patron-in-chief of Pakistan Hockey Federation. Right. So now the ball in his court, that he should appoint those people who are uncontroversial, who are sincere to hockey, who has got good name in hockey, and who can take Pakistan hockey to the victory stand.
Right. Now, what do you make of the departure of Faisal Saleh Hayat as the president of the Pakistan Football Federation? How do you also see the appointment of Syed Ashfaq Hussain now?
Faisal Saleh Hayat had been the president of Pakistan Football Federation for the last 15 years, Mina. He was actually elected in 2003, and since then he was ruling Pakistan football, and Pakistan football was banned. And now if you look at the rating of Pakistan football, we are on 199 number. You can judge from the fact that we are on 199 number in football ranking, in the world ranking. So Pakistan football is also going down like hockey. You know, in 1994 we were world champions in 4 games: cricket, hockey, squash and snooker. Right. And now the Pakistan sports is deteriorating day by day, nose diving. You know, people are thinking that what has happened to Pakistan sports. So football, I think that Faisal Saleh Hayat, he has got good connections in international FIFA, Football Federation. Right. He has got good connection in Asian Football Confederation. So it looks that Pakistan football might be banned, because the FIFA had already warned Pakistan Football Federation that election should be held when according to our schedule, and they actually held those elections, and Ashfaq Bukhari was elected as the president. So it looks like that FIFA is going to ban Pakistan
That would be quite
football.
unfortunate, because we seem to take a lot of pride in exporting the the footballs for FIFA actually, and as you mentioned, if we might be banned, that's going to be quite unfortunate. But Mr. Beg, why, I mean, this is an old debate, but really, why do you think cricket the only main focus? Is it really because it has more viewership, that's what people really want to see? Why is the federation, the hockey federation, so neglected, and football now?
Cricket has got a lot of money in that, Mina. The players are getting...
But there has to be a reason for why money is injected in cricket.
No, the money is injected through the sponsors. But in hockey, we are not winning. That's why the sponsors don't care for that to come to the hockey. But in cricket, you know, a game is held for the whole day, one-day international match, a T20 match is held for 3 hours. So the sponsors are more inclined, and TV coverage is quite vast as compared to the football and hockey coverage. So sponsors are interested in that. And Pakistan Cricket Board, you know, has got lot of money. They get money from International Cricket Council, they get money for the reciprocal tours, they get money from different events, World Cup, Asia Cup, Champions Trophy. So that's why they are the most richest body of sports in Pakistan, and they spend that money towards that.
Just to have a little context, is it similar in India with a comparison between cricket and football, or hockey for that matter? Are their conditions just as similar to Pakistan's?
But
in terms of popularity?
I agree with you, but India has got so many sponsors. India is a huge country. They have got so many sponsors, and they are sincere to promote their sports. They are holding hockey leagues. They are holding kabaddi tournaments. They are holding football events. And in Pakistan, the officials, they just want to go on the joyride trips. So that is the main reason. Sincerity is not here in Pakistan. So they should concentrate on improving the facilities, improving the game, so that we can proudly say that we Pakistanis are quite good at the sports.
Right. I can only hope for that. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure, Mina, talking to you. Thank you very much.